We're here to talk about draft beer system troubleshooting. Now, number one problem out there, over 90% of the problems, draft beer temperature. We're going to discuss that. Pressure? Oh yes, if that pressure isn't set appropriately, we're not going to have the proper pour. How about the idea of lines being cleaned on a regular basis? Yes, that's critical as well. The last piece regarding the equipment, making sure that all the parts and pieces are there, in good repair, and ready to go. In draft beer troubleshooting, temperature maintenance is critical. One of the tools that we recommend would be the use of a baby bottle inside a draft cooler for a retailer account. We'll be able to use a baby bottle. It is a plastic item, okay? So even if it is knocked down, it will not break, and it will be able to maintain good liquid temperature. Liquid temperature is much more important and much more applicable than an air temperature. Air temperature fluctuates too easily, right? So what we would end up doing is taking this baby bottle, and what we want to do, we want to invert the nipple, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to transfer it into this position, okay? What I'll do, I'll fill this with water, go through the entire process. And once again, the liquid temperature is what we want, because that's obviously our beer is liquid temperature, and that's going to be much more stable reading for us. And that once again, the plastic, opposed to a glass, an actual glass surface would knock down, make break, something like that. So really, this is what we're talking about here, a baby bottle. In draft beer troubleshooting, temperature maintenance is critical. In draft beer troubleshooting, pressure is the second phase that must be checked and in place. So let's take a look at the regulator attached to the CO2 cylinder. So what we want to make sure, first off, one of the many problems with regard to troubleshooting is that they say, hey, my beer's not pouring. Well, is the cylinder activated? This is the cylinder valve, and it must be activated. Counterclockwise will open it up, and you want it to open up totally, completely. The next element of our regulator would be the set screw. Now this set screw here, what you would end up doing is pulling it straight out, making the adjustment to make sure we're increasing pressure would be to clockwise direction. Counterclockwise would be a decreasing pressure. So once you get that, then you close this again, and you should have it in place, and it should not move on you. Another element that's critically important with troubleshooting is the shutoff valve. When this shutoff valve is in this position, okay, that means that the CO2 that would be coming through the system is not able to move down to the barrel. So many times this is part of the troubleshooting right here as well. So when you have that in the on position, okay, providing that this valve assembly is working properly, that should allow the pressure to move through the system and then down into the barrel. Okay. One other step that I'd like to cover with you is the importance of making sure that you have your CO2 cylinder activated. Okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to point out a couple pieces that will hopefully help you to better discern whether or not the cylinder is activated, ready to go. I'm going to take the shutoff valve and I'm going to move it into the off position. Okay, I will activate the cylinder, and you will see as I do that, the gauge needles have moved. Okay, this gauge here tells us how much pressure is going to be applied to the barrel. This gauge on the left side tells us how much pressure is in the cylinder. So obviously we have plenty of CO2 in this cylinder. When it begins to drop down in that red triangle, you know that that's getting low or is completely empty. So hopefully these tips will help you to be better troubleshooters of our draft beer systems. Another element of draft beer troubleshooting is the importance of line cleaning. Now with line cleaning, if we're not able to get the job done properly or maybe thoroughly, then we can have some off aromas, off flavors, and even solid matter in the beer's stream. So we might have flakes, we might have larger pieces of the bacterial growth that has been allowed to build up. So very important. What are some steps to overcome that obstacle? Are having all the right tools. Okay, we have cleaning canisters that can be used for cleaning smaller or shorter distance lines, right? We also have long draw lines out there, up to 300, 400 feet, where we would want to use an electric pump. Okay, that has, through test results, has proven to be much more effective. All right. Now, what do we use? Do we just use some cool water? Oh no, we definitely want to use a warm water and a recommended line cleaning chemical. We have a few of these out for your review. So to summarize, we have our line cleaning equipment, we have our chemicals, and our proper procedures to get that very important job complete. So hopefully this has helped out. Let's continue to keep those draft beer lines clean. Now, number one problem out there, over 90% of the problems, draft beer temperature. Pressure, oh yes, if that pressure isn't set appropriately, we're not going to have the proper pour. How about the idea of lines being cleaned on a regular basis? The last piece regarding the equipment, making sure that all the parts and pieces are there, in good repair, and ready to go.